You could be forgiven for shying away from a trip down Sydney's Wakehurst Parkway, which is known for its unexplained supernatural occurrences and grisly past. The winding stretch of highway in the city's northern suburbs plunges into total darkness at night, making it notorious for fatal crashes. It runs along Deep Creek Reserve, a site infamous for gruesome slayings such as Stephen Dempsey, who was shot and dismembered in 1994 by a murderer who then stored his body in a freezer. There have been reports of pedestrian crossing lights flashing at 3 a.m. with no one around. Windscreen wipers suddenly switching off and car doors locking on their own, Manly Daily reported. But the creepiest aspect of the road is the rumored presence of a haunting nun and a woman in white named Kelly, who appears in the backseat of cars. Psychic medium Mary Lockland has claimed to have encountered Kelly on a number of occasions while passing a church on the road, and said a buzz will happen on her radio or her car doors lock. The first time I took the road was about 6 years ago. It was about 2 a.m., and I had the feeling of someone touching the back of my neck. It felt like a cool hand would on a cold day, she told the newspaper. She is like a white-veiled apparition of a girl in the back seat. Ms. Lockland said her daughter has also witnessed 2 apparitions while driving on Wakehurst Parkway at night, and suspects Kelly haunts motorists after suffering a tragic past. Most hauntings are in places where there has been tragedy. I feel Kelly is either lost or has a message to deliver. She is not an evil presence, but one that's traumatized. She is saying, I need a lift out of here, she said. Samantha Fisher, 22, told the newspaper her mother suddenly blacked out at the wheel while she was driving her in 1998. She said her mother claimed to not be tired at the time and was definitely not asleep when she blacked out. Meanwhile, filmmaker Bianca Biasi, who is producing a documentary called Haunted Shores, said actors started behaving odd on set when they visited the spot Stephen Dempsey's body was dumped by Richard William Leonard. Filming was said to be so confronting that a number of crew members became physically ill, sensed presences and vowed never to return to the site. Ex-cab driver H. Lowe also described a chilling paranormal activity encounter he had with a nun who he claims appeared inside his car. There was a gray silhouette of a thin young woman in the mirror, apparently sitting on the middle of the rear seat and sort of staring straight back at me. She was in a kind of white gown and headdress like a Christian nun, he wrote online. I couldn't really see her face clearly. Just the shape of her face and her deep green eyes, yes, the sad green eyes, but she was definitely real and sitting there and staring back at me at that precise moment. He later here, from a passenger. A Scottish nun died on the road 40 years ago. Legend has it, she has been haunting drivers there ever since. Other drivers have told online of cars breaking down unexpectedly or feeling a shiver run down their spines. Also looming over the stretch of road is the murder of 8-year-old Graham Thorne in 1963, whose suitcase and personal effects were found across Wakehurst Parkway.